Wow.
Hey everybody, and happy holidays! This holiday season, me and my parents decided to take a trip to the theater capital of the world, New York City, where we saw 13 shows in an 8-day trip. I hope you enjoy.
Okay, there's a lot of glare on the window so you can't see, but the view's pretty epic. We just arrived. It's just after 7, and so my parents and I decided that because we're here so early, we're gonna go try to get tickets to see a Broadway show. I actually have to go because my parents just left without me.
The first show that we got to go see was The Great Gatsby, and here's my quick honest review. Terrific spectacle. The costumes and choreography were full of glitz and glam. It was a terrific adaptation of the book. My one note, however, and this is just me being really picky, is that the scenes and some of the solo songs in between the big musical numbers were paced a little bit too slow. Eva Noblezada, she sang the part beautifully, but acting-wise, I honestly liked her better in Hadestown. But that's just my opinion. Take it or leave it. Good night. So long story short, my parents and I are big theater people. My parents met doing theater. They took me to see a bunch of shows growing up, which made me fall in love with theater. I am currently studying theater in school. So we really love theater, and that is why we are in the theater capital of the world, New York City. I think I slept on my arm weird. It's been aching me a little bit. Anyway, currently there's a show on Broadway called Our Town. That show has always been near and dear to my dad's heart. And this particular production is starring Jim Parsons, aka Sheldon, in The Big Bang Theory. So, of course, my dad found out that this show was happening and it was really, really good. He was basically like, hey, Genevieve, I know that we were planning on going to New York over the summer, but how would you like to go over winter break instead? And I was like, okay, sure. And so here we are, and today's the day. We're gonna watch it today. I realize I never gave a hotel tour, so here it is. When you first walk in, this is the first thing you see. On the side, I've got my closet where I've got some of my dresses hanging up. Here's the bathroom. Giant shower. Hi. Here I place my coats and my bags and all of my winter gear. Huge floor-length mirror. I have this really cool chaise, I don't know how. It's really cool and it's actually pretty comfy, and it has a table in front of it. And then, of course, this giant bed that's just for me. Also, I just wanted to point out the main reason why I have a hotel room all to myself is because originally my parents and I were going to go on this trip with another family friend, and then I was going to share this room with that family friend. But then she later had to drop out of the trip. Kind of sad, but now I get a hotel room all to myself. So, silver lining. On my way to a dance class. Since I really like to dance, throughout the week I took some drop-in classes at Broadway Dance Center. On this day I took a beginning tap class that I thoroughly enjoyed. Class just got out. That was actually a really fun class. I really liked the teacher. Okay, so, Mom, where are we gonna go see?
We're gonna go see Our Town.
Woo, starring who? Jim Parsons, aka Sheldon.
And Holmes and John Boyd from the Waltons.
I don't know who any of those people are, but she's excited, so we're gonna go. Our Town is the show that dragged us to New York City in the first place, and let me tell you, this show was 100% worth the last-minute trip. The minimalistic set with the swirling lanterns was just beautiful. This show has a very simple concept in that it just goes through the human condition of life, love, and death, and it does so in a truly poignant sort of way. There's a reason why so many high schools and colleges do this show. I'm pretty sure I was the youngest person in the audience, and even I shed a tear or two. Overall, I am so glad we got to see this show before it closed. Okay, so Our Town is going to win the Tony Award for Best Revival. Like, that's just gonna happen. Anyways, we're now walking back to the hotel, and then we're gonna go see Moulin Rouge. I am very cold. my mother in her natural habitat. Reading Broadway playbills from the show we've seen the night before.
Moulin Rouge was incredible, but it was all spectacle. The costumes and choreography were absolutely stellar, but the plot, well, I mean, the plot is just La Boheme, and if I really want to see a spectacular musical that's based on the plot of La Boheme, I'll go see Rent. But I can be really picky, and I know that this show has a huge fan base, so please don't come after me for saying this. I'm just glad that I can now say that I have seen Moulin Rouge.
Whew. What a day.
Good morning. It's 7:30, but because of the time change, my brain still thinks it's 4.
Right, time for breakfast. My dad and I are gonna go to a bagel shop.
The chilly New York air feels really nice after that class. The rain, however, not so much. I left my umbrella at the hotel. Whoops.
So I just ran over to the Dunkin' Donut across the street and got myself a little treat. I needed this. So earlier today I had a dance class that was really good. The class was like a theater jazz class, so we got to dance in heels, which was really nice. I love dancing in heels. However, I did realize that my heels are starting to wear out. My feet hurt so bad. I should put it on my list to get some new heels soon. I also just woke up from a 3-hour nap because I am so sleep deprived right now. Like, let me give you some perspective. I flew here from the West Coast in California, which California to New York is a 3-hour time difference. When you fly from the West Coast to the East Coast, it's so easy to stay up late because you feel absolutely wide awake. But then the next morning, it's so easy to sleep in because, oh my god, you are so tired. So, I kind of did this to myself, booking a class at 10 o'clock in the morning, but oh well. And another thing, I actually pulled an all-nighter the night before I flew here. Like, I had to leave for the airport at 4 a.m. and I did not sleep before then. I was up late packing and cleaning my room. And so literally the first time I slept that night was when I got on the plane, which I didn't even really sleep because it's on a plane. My arm actually kind of hurts because I spent the entire plane ride doing this. So yeah, this nap was needed. But anyways, that's done with me. Yeah, I needed that donut.
The next show that we saw was 20-Sided Tavern, and this was the only off-Broadway show that we saw for the entire trip. And let me tell you, it was a glorious experience. This show was just a bunch of actors playing D&D live on stage, but they included audience participation via these online surveys that we could fill out by scanning a QR code in the program, and that allowed us to select what comes next in the show, and then the actors just played off of that. It was absolutely hilarious. This show was also the only show that we saw where they actually allowed you to film it, which was awesome because that is how I was able to capture fantastic moments like these.
We only see the 15, so you better roll it in.
Come on, 15!
Okay, that was awesome. So my parents are in line at TKTS in Lincoln Center to get tickets for a Broadway show. But while they're in line, I figured I'd go around the corner to the Block Dance store in Lincoln Center. Well, that was a success. I ended up getting some leg warmers. My parents are still in line. They actually said it was going to be about 45 minutes, so they're letting me just walk around and have fun while they wait in line.
On this day, we also ended up going to the Winter Village in Bryant Park. My review of this place is that it was cute and it was really nice, but it was very crowded and there weren't that many places to sit. So I'm glad I went, but I don't think I would ever go again.
Alright, so feeling a little bit snacky, so I decided to sit down and eat my black and white cookie. Look at that beauty. You know, I'm curious, why are black and white cookies like specifically a New York thing? I don't know. But now I'm gonna take another nap, and then tonight we're gonna go watch Cabaret at the Kit Kat Club. The chocolate is melting in my hands.
The next show we got to see was Cabaret at the Kit Kat Club, and the highlight of this show was definitely the pre-show performance in the lobby. They rearranged the whole theater to feel like a nightclub. You literally go around the back of the theater, which is decorated to feel like you're going somewhere honestly slightly illegal and risque, but then when you get inside, it's lavishly decorated. If you're going to see the show, definitely arrive an hour early so you can watch as much of the pre-show as possible. In terms of the actual show itself, I loved that they did it in the round. It led to some clever and creative staging options that was able to keep our attention and really feel like a nightclub stage. Overall, loved this show.
Life hack. I don't know what it is, but on this trip, every time we go see a show in the evening, as soon as we get back, I'm really hungry. Earlier today, I got Chipotle for dinner, and I made sure to get chips and guac, and I made sure to not eat them so that I could eat them after the show, because I knew I'd be hungry. But anyway, tomorrow we have tickets to see MJ at 1 o'clock. I'm gonna finish these and then go to bed. Okay, so here's what's going on for today. I tried to get tickets for Nutcracker online yesterday, but it looked like they were sold out? Question mark? I don't know. The website was really confusing, so I really don't know if they're sold out or they actually have seats. But their box office opens at 10. It's like 9:30 now, so basically what I'm gonna do is Hello? Okay, that's not my room. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish getting ready, and then I'm going to go to Lincoln Center and go to their box office. It doesn't look like New York City Ballet does rush tickets. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to their box office and just get one ticket for me tonight, if I can, if they're not sold out. So that didn't work out. The only tickets they had available were for standing room only, which were really cheap, but I also don't want to stand for 2 hours. I like ballet, but not that much. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna come back like an hour or so before the show starts and just see if I can rush tickets there. Because sometimes people have reservations and then they can't make it, so then they'll release those reservations to other people.
In the meantime, we went to go see MJ. Now here's my review. Now personally, I don't like jukebox musicals. I'm sorry, Mamma Mia fans. To me, with jukebox musicals, the plot typically feels forced, and it also just feels like a cash grab and doesn't really have a lot of substance. However, this show surprised me. In case you didn't know, this show features music by Michael Jackson in order to tell Michael Jackson's story. So the story actually flowed well. Not to mention the choreography. They choreographed and staged this show beautifully, and my top 2 highlights were definitely Smooth Criminal and Thriller. Overall, this show turned out to be way better than I expected.
Chipotle again. Oh, hold on. I really don't feel like getting guacamole on my skirt. Right now, my parents are in line to go watch Stephen Colbert. Yes, you heard that right. My parents are going to watch Stephen Colbert without me. No. My dad tried to get tickets for all 3 of us, but when he signed up for tickets, they only allowed you to get up to 2. I tried to put my name in for the lottery to get tickets, but by the time I got there, they'd already sold out. So, unfortunately, I will not be joining them, even though I am very jealous. It does mean that I get some free time to myself. All of the shows that I've seen so far, I've seen with my parents, so this is a good opportunity to go see a show that I want to see that my parents are like, meh, indifferent to. AKA The Nutcracker. Because I really enjoy ballet and I really like watching it. My parents are like indifferent to it. They're like, it's pretty, but I won't go out of my way to go see it. Which I understand. As I mentioned earlier, I tried to get tickets for The Nutcracker, but they were sold out. So I'm gonna try to get rush tickets tonight. And oh my god, I really hope. Please, somebody cancel your reservation. I just want to see The Nutcracker. And if I don't get in, then I'll think of something else. Oh, that was close. My skirt is safe. If I can't see Nutcracker tonight, it's not the end of the world. It's just gonna be a mild disappointment. Besides, tomorrow we're gonna see the Radio City Christmas Spectacular. So even if I don't end up going to see the Nutcracker tonight, at least I'll get to see a New York Christmas tradition. Anywho, I'm gonna finish this up and get going. Okay, so I'm normally not the kind of person who does OOTDs, but I love my outfit, so I wanted to do one really quick. My skirt is Chelsea Reese, and it spins. And then my tights are lined with fleece. I got them on Amazon. My boots, I have no idea where I got them. I've had them for ages. This shirt, I have no idea where I got it. I've had it for ages. It was probably thrifted. And then my coat is from Costco. So, my parents get to go see The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Meanwhile, I get to wander New York City all by myself. Yeah, there's my dad right there, in line. My parents, both, there's my mom also waving. They have their wristbands, they're going in. They're gonna have a great time. So they're still sold out, but the guys had to come back half an hour before the show starts and just see what happens. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And if that doesn't work out, I looked it up and Hadestown actually starts a half an hour later. So if I can't get tickets for this, then I'm gonna run over to the theater where Hadestown plays and see if I can get rush tickets for that. Yep, still nothing. I'm gonna head back to Times Square and see if I can get tickets to Hadestown now. Oh god, and it started raining. I ended up rushing a ticket to Hadestown. I'm so happy.
As much as I would have loved to have seen The Nutcracker, I am so glad I saw this show instead. I have already seen it on tour, but I've never seen it on Broadway, and while it was the same show, it felt like a completely different experience. Plus, I got to see the show with Lillias White and Jordan Fisher. Which, by the way, let me say, Jordan Fisher was meant to play Orpheus. He was so charming and lovely, and his rendition of Epic 3 made me sob. So overall, I am glad that I saw this show.
Oh my god, I'm crying. No, I'm not crying. I was crying. I'm speechless. It was so fantastic. So, Mom, Dad, you got to go see Stephen Colbert, and didn't invite me. No, I'm kidding. So, how was it?
All right, so Stephen Colbert does a Q&A with his audience before he actually does the show. Mm-hmm. And I had my hand up and asked him, well, first of all, I said I loved him in Company. which he did this concert version of Stephen Sondheim's Company, and he's a really good character singer. So I asked him, what is a musical that he would love to do? And he said, I will tell you if you can guess what character I want to play. I'm like, okay.
That I could never play.
That I could never play. It's like, I can't ever be in this because I just am not appropriate for it. But you have to guess. I'm like, okay, give me an era, something to work with.
Which he did say. He wouldn't do it.
He wouldn't do it. So he just said, what is something that would be totally inappropriate for me? Little Orphan Annie. He laughed and started singing It's a Hard Knock Life. And then he figured that was good enough. And he starts singing Heaven on Their Minds from Jesus Christ Superstar. Not just saying that he would like to play Judas, but singing the song, and the band jumps in, and instead of hitting the high note, he goes over to his band leader, and the band leader hits it for him, and Colbert sings a lower note, and they harmonize great, and it was just...
And it was several verses. It wasn't just a little thing.
Yeah, they kept going. And I was just... And up to Stephen Colbert!
Stephen Colbert did what you asked. You made Stephen Colbert laugh.
I made Stephen Colbert laugh. So that is like the highlight of my show, my whole week so far. Thank you, Stephen Colbert.
Oh, I bet. Dad, did you make Stephen Colbert sing at any time?
I suggested to Mother that she ask the question.
Okay. So together you made Stephen Colbert laugh, but it was mostly Mother.
Mostly Mother.
Meanwhile, I was frantically running around Lincoln Center trying to get Nutcracker tickets. But then I got to see Jordan Fisher, so all's good.
Today is a very special day. Today, we get to see not one, not two, but 3 shows. In the morning, we have tickets to see the Radio City Christmas Spectacular. I'm very excited about that. And then we have tickets to go see Suffs, which is a musical about the suffragist movement, which I've already seen, but my parents haven't seen it, and I've been gushing about it so much to them that I was like, okay, we're going to New York, you have to see Suffs. And then tonight's going to be a TKTS show. But first, breakfast. Since we were in New York City at Christmas time, we had to go see the Radio City Christmas Spectacular. And let me say, this show lives up to the hype. The Rockettes are mesmerizing to watch dance, and my jaw was on the ground with all the projections. There is a reason why this show is such a big tradition. Even though I said in my Moulin Rouge review that I didn't like Moulin Rouge because it was all spectacle, I actually thoroughly enjoyed this show more than I enjoyed Moulin Rouge.
I loved every second of it.
I feel like the best seats in the house are actually in the orchestra pit, but towards the back. Like I'd say right underneath the edge of the balcony. Because they have so many projections that they put everywhere, and then they also have people like singing on the sides. So when you're back there, you can see literally everything. So I think we got really good seats, and I'm so happy that I went to go see this.
Later that day, we saw 2 shows back-to-back, starting with Suffs, which is a new musical about the suffragist movement. And in today's current political climate, I feel like we need more shows like Suffs now more than ever. Now, I've actually seen Suffs before, and I loved it. When I saw it the first time, I got to see the full Broadway cast, and when I saw the show this time, I got to see a couple of understudies. And low-key, I actually thought that the understudy who was on for Alice Paul was better than the girl in the original cast. In general, this show is wonderfully written and wonderfully staged, and I highly recommend you go see it. The next show we saw was Maybe Happy Ending, and I'm going to be honest, I went into this show with little to no expectations because I could tell that it was a love story, and I typically gravitate away from love stories, but I actually enjoyed this show. It was about these two robot humans who fall in love, and in a way it also brought up some interesting questions about the rapid rise of technology. In a way, it actually reminded me of WALL-E, so I would recommend this show to anyone.
I don't care that it's like 35 degrees outside. I wanted a dessert, so.
I very quickly wanted to say, I love this dress. I think this dress may be my new favorite, my new like go-to everything dress. Like, I've worn it twice on this trip, and I've gotten so many compliments on it. One of which was from a creepy old man, but still, I've gotten a lot of compliments on this dress. So, 10 out of 10, I love you, Chelsea Reese.
When planning for this trip, we had heard from a lot of places that one of the best things to do in New York at Christmas is to go window shopping in Fifth Avenue, which is what we did next. And honestly, I was a bit disappointed. Don't get me wrong, the window displays were beautiful, but I was expecting more. I think I was expecting a couple of animatronics or some moving toy trains or anything like that. But instead it looked like they were all just some variation of the same basic display, which I could just see at my local mall in my hometown if I wanted to. But while we were out, we also stopped by Rockefeller Center just to take a look, and we also hopped over to Saks just to check it out, even though everything in there is way out of our price range.
What'd you find, Mom? Oh, yeah, I would wear that. Not for, what's the price? Wait, let me guess. $2,000.
Multiply by 4.
Okay. Now we're back, and I decided on a whim to sign up for a ballet class later today. Plus, I can now try out my new leg warmers that I just got. Okay, well, that class was fun. I am very glad that I got to do that. Now my parents and I are going to take the train to Brooklyn to go watch Second City.
My parents and I really enjoy comedy shows, which is why we just had to see a show by Second City. This show that we saw lampooned all sorts of Christmas stereotypes, and for the most part, they were all pretty funny. But overall, really enjoyed it, and I'm glad we went to see it.
It's very dangerous having a Dunkin' Donut right across the street from your hotel.
It's crazy thinking that we've only been here for a week, but it feels like we've been here for an eternity. The very first show we saw, literally the night that we got here, was Great Gatsby. And that feels like an eternity ago. Now that I finished my donut, I'm gonna go to sleep because we got a big day tomorrow.
It snowed last night. Our second to last show of this trip was a new play called Eureka Day, and my parents and I went into this show knowing almost nothing about it, but then we ended up howling with laughter. It's a show that takes place primarily in the library of a very progressive elementary school, where we see the school's executive board debate whether or not they should mandate a vaccine policy on their students. I know it sounds like that shouldn't be funny, but oh my god, it was absolutely hilarious. My parents and I were still talking about this show for days after we saw it.
We're leaving to go back first thing tomorrow morning, so tonight is our last night in New York City, but we are ending it on a high note, and I mean that literally, because we are going to see Audra McDonald star in Gypsy. I am very excited about this.
To end this whole trip on a literal high note, we got to see Audra McDonald in Gypsy. And here's the thing. The best part about this show was Audra McDonald, and that's just a fact. Audra McDonald is going to win the Tony Award for Best Lead Actress, and it's just going to happen. She knows how to command attention on stage in a way that doesn't steal from the show. I mean, she just steals the show by being on stage. And my dad actually commented saying that she was better than Patti LuPone. And with that being said, the rest of the show was fantastic as well. I'm just saying that when you see this show, the main thing that you remember is Audra McDonald.
I'm really tired, so I'm gonna go pack and go to bed.
As someone who is really passionate about all things Broadway and the performing arts, and as someone who would love to live in New York City someday, getting to visit New York at Christmastime was probably one of the best gifts I've ever gotten. Even though we were mostly in New York to see a bunch of shows, we also got to experience some NYC-specific holiday traditions, and I figured I'd rank them based on my own personal experience. In fourth place on this tradition tier list, I chose window shopping on Fifth Avenue. While a bunch of the light displays were pretty, I was expecting more from them. With that being said, however, the window displays that we did see were still pretty, and I particularly enjoyed walking through Saks. In third place on this tradition tier list, we have the Winter Village in Bryant Park. This one was similar to the window shopping in that after a while it seemed like a lot of the same thing, but at least it was nice to go around and look at what these small businesses had to offer. We also ended up getting a lot of Christmas gifts for our friends here. In second place on the tradition tier list, we have the carriage ride through Central Park. Even though it was freezing cold and a little bit pricey, this experience was truly magical, especially since it had snowed the day before, and I highly recommend it. And in first place, the highlight holiday tradition of the trip was definitely the Radio City Christmas Spectacular. I love Christmas and I love good dancing, so watching the Rockettes and just this entire show will definitely be something that I remember for a long time. On this trip, I also got to see 13 shows total. Of these shows, 10 were Broadway, 1 was Off-Broadway, 1 was a comedy show, and the other was the Radio City Christmas Spectacular. Of the Broadway shows, 8 were musicals and 2 were straight plays. And since the purpose of this trip was to see a ton of shows, I figured I'd go through each show that we saw and give out my top picks for different categories. I didn't want to pick out only one favorite show or even rank the shows from best to least best because, as cliche as it sounds, I truly liked all of the shows that we saw. We didn't see a bad show on this whole trip, which is why instead I decided to list out my top picks based on certain categories. The first category is for Best Spectacle. These are the shows that were overall stunning and always kept the audience's attention via costumes, lights, choreography, and general pizzazz. And the 3 shows that deserve the Best Spectacle award include, in no particular order, The Great Gatsby, Moulin Rouge, and the Radio City Christmas Spectacular. The second category is for Best Audience Interaction. These were the shows that were able to utilize audience participation in a creative way without making the audience feel uncomfortable. And the 3 shows that deserve the Best Audience Interaction award include Cabaret at the Kit Kat Club, specifically the incredible pre-show performance, Second City's Wreck the Halls, and finally, 20-Sided Tavern.
Transformation, let me hear it!
The third category that I'm awarding is for the biggest tearjerker. These are the shows that could make just about anyone cry in a cathartic way after watching. And the 3 shows that deserve the biggest tearjerker award include Suffs, Our Town, and Hadestown. The next award category is for the unexpected gems. These are the shows that I went in knowing very little about and or having very low expectations for, but then I turned out to actually like the show more than I originally anticipated. And the 3 shows that earn the Unexpected Gem Award include MJ, Maybe Happy Ending, and Eureka Day. And now the second to last category is my parents' top picks, which of course are the shows that were standouts to my parents. And those shows include Our Town, Eureka Day, and Maybe Happy Ending, with my dad's honorable mentions going to Suffs and Cabaret, and my mom's honorable mentions going to Gypsy and The Great Gatsby. And finally, I didn't want to give a category for my overall favorite picks because that didn't really seem fair. Therefore, instead, I call this last category the I Would See Again category. These are, of course, shows that I would go out of my way to see again if I'm ever given the opportunity. And those shows include Our Town, Hadestown, the Radio City Christmas Spectacular, and Suffs. Congratulations to all of the winners of this completely made-up award system, and this concludes my New York City vlog. Special thank you to my parents for sponsoring this trip, for coming up with the idea to go on this trip in the first place, and thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe and all that jazz, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye!